Oh, man. All right. Excited about the week. Proud of our team for how they competed last week. Got off to a really good start. Again, getting in ACC play early. Like a lot about that game, but certainly a lot to improve from the game in all areas. But as we look ahead, get into week 2 here, this is a huge challenge. I'm very, very impressed with Texas A&M. I know we only got one game from this season, but really impressed with them. We've had a chance to really study them this summer and look at their season from totality standpoint from last year. And they got better and better and better and better. And I know they've got some new people just like we do, but they got some key ingredients back, starting with that quarterback. He is a really good football player, a big-time player. And he's bigger, faster, stronger, smarter, more confident than he was this time last year. So that's the biggest thing that I see in watching him. And it has made some big-time throws on the move. That's where he's really just kills you because he's got the ability to sit in the pocket and make all the throws. I mean, he can make the deep out throw from the opposite hash. He's accurate, but then all of a sudden he gets to scrambling and gets outside the pocket. You don't do a great job with your contain or your rush lanes, and next thing you know, he's put the ball downfield on the move. So we saw that up close. I mean, these guys threw the ball all over us last year in the fourth quarter. It was really like the last 4 minutes of the third quarter, and in the fourth quarter, we couldn't stop them. I mean, we busted. He made some great throws. We had opportunities. We got our hands on balls and didn't finish. So it was a long night. They weren't able to run the ball effectively on us last year. Our D-line kind of set the tone in the run game, but we grew a lot from that game, though, and we got better as the year went, for sure. But hopefully our experience on the back end this year will help us and show up a little bit better, and we can be a little better positioned and make some of those competitive plays, because the ball, they'll get off the bus throwing the football down the field, big time. Run the ball, play action, screen game, boots and nakeds. I mean, that's what they do. That's what Jimbo's always done, and he's got good people to do it with. So impressed with the running back. They're outstanding at receiver, as good as we'll play. They're big and strong, physical up front. So we know exactly what we're getting into with this bunch, but we're going to have to do a great job with this quarterback first and foremost, because it all starts with him. And then the flip side of it, defensively, we've been going against Elko, I guess, now for quite a while, since he was at Wake Forest, and he's as good as there is out there in the country. He does a great job with their scheme. Those guys are schooled up. They mix their coverages. They mix their techniques. They'll get up and challenge it, and they'll play a lot of catch technique off and with eyes and do a good job of route reading. And so we've got to be really sharp and technically sound early in the season to have a chance to be successful against these guys. They're big up front. 52 and 5 are a mountain of men. They're 2 ends. 3 is going to remind you of our 3. I mean, he's fast and electric coming off the edge, good at backer. Number 1 he's a coast-to-coast guy out on the field. Their secondaries, their corners are all 6'2", 6'3", 6'4", long bodies at corner. So just a really talented group across the front on both sides, and going to be a big challenge for us. But I'm excited to see how our team is going to respond, to a group like this. Early in the season, I think this is great for us. They're definitely one of the best teams in the country. I don't think, regardless of what happens in this game, I think that's going to play out. And the same thing for us. It's a great opportunity early for us to grow our team, and win or lose the game, we're going to get better from this game. And so I love the challenge. I love the opportunity to go against a great team early in the year, especially before we get into conference play, and kind of see where we are and grow up a little bit. I thought it helped us last year. We were fortunate to win the game, but that game in particular helped us to get better and to make a run. So I don't have any different feelings this time around against this group. But we're excited about having them here at home. I know it's going to be an awesome crowd, and we're praying for everybody that's in the path of this hurricane, and just hopeful that it will turn, and the folks up here in the Carolinas, it has minimal impact and effect on them. But with that, I'll take your questions.
Coach, their punter won the Red Guy Award last year. He had a big game against y'all.
Yep.
How big of a weapon is he in the field position battle?
Yeah, he's huge because he can flip it. And you go out there and you get a 3 and out and you feel good about your field position. Next thing you know, he's you're backed up. And he kicked it over the top of us a few times last year. And we kept backing him up, and he kept kicking it over us. So very, very talented and definitely a weapon for them. A guy that we've got to have a good plan for, it's going to start with DK doing a good job, and us doing a good job holding up and seeing if we can make something happen on the back end.
What did you learn about the vulnerability of the back end that they exposed in that game last year?
Well, we just weren't very smart. Some of our base stuff we didn't do a good job. We did for 3.5 quarters, and then all of a sudden we just kind of lost our mind. And this guy's – sometimes you bust and you turn a guy loose and they don't find him. But this guy, he found him. And, we had some guys, they made some competitive plays too, but there were some where just – it was – we just wouldn't have anybody in the zip code. So we just learned details. And we were really young. And this time last year it was very different on the back end for us. We felt great about our corners, but we were a little inexperienced at safety. And, so the whole back seven is we like the guys we got. We think we're very experienced there. We think that's a strength for us. And so structurally, we need to be better. And they're going to make some plays. And there's going to be some, like I said, they're going to get off the bus, the ball's downfield, and our corners are going to have to win some matchups. We've got to be positioned better. And that's probably the biggest thing, is just being detailed and for 4 quarters. And we got better. We got better. And then finishing, I think we had our hands on like 4 balls that we didn't catch. One of them in the end zone that all of a sudden became a touchdown. It's a pick, and now it's a touchdown. And those are game-changing type plays. When you do get your chance to get your hands on the ball, we got to finish those. And so good to see us last week. Got our hands on a couple balls, and we made some plays. And again, I think that our confidence is good. But this will be a challenge for sure. And it starts with being able to hold up on the run, because if you can't hold up on the run, then they, with all their play action, it creates distortion in your coverage and big holes, so it starts with that, being able to hold up and take that away.
You said Saturday that this team got a lot of truth. How much did it need that?
Say that again?
You said that this team got a lot of truth as far as
yeah.
the game Saturday.
Yeah.
How much did they need that?
It's everybody needs it. When at this time, at this phase of your season, everybody's playing their first game, and all you got's practice. And we're lucky because we get to practice against good people every day. And when you're scrimmaging against Clemson, it's a day's work. And so then you come in and you grade it, and it's you're going through it. But again, you're not really game planning. You're more just kind of installing, and you're running your stuff. And sometimes it matches up, sometimes it doesn't. But it's truth every day you walk in those meeting rooms, and you get the result of the practice. But you had a bad day, you had a bad practice, nobody lost a game. And now you're in, it's a live situation. It's just different. You just can't simulate it. The game is different when you have game plans involved, when you have the emotion involved, you have the passion, the fans, the energy. The scoreboard is lit up, and it's for real. It's going to be a touchdown for the other team if you don't do your job, and vice versa. It was a good point for us, because there was a lot of confirmation too. There was a lot of good, truthful confirmation of what we thought going in to the game. Like, we really felt like Tyler Davis was ready to go play well. Well, he did, so that was great for us. But then there was also some things that we kind of knew going in too that, hey, we just got to go play. And all of a sudden, you come in here and the meetings are a little different. And you got grades, and you got Mental Monday, get your mind right, accountability. And that's how you get better. That's how you get better. If you care. Now, if you don't care, then you ain't gonna get no better. But we got a bunch of guys who care, and they take pride in, because it's performance, it's effort, it's production. That's how we grade these guys. And you can have a guy with a winning performance, don't ever make any plays. Effort's non-negotiable. And so sometimes a guy maybe didn't have quite the winning performance grade that we want, but his production was really good. His effort was great. Well, so he needs some truth, and here's what we got to do to get better. And you're able to show those things and teach those things. That's what we do, is teach. And so now we got another challenge. And again, we're going to do everything we can to win the game. But win or lose the game, we're going to get better. This is going to help us. This is going to help us for the rest of the year, no doubt. No doubt about it.
I know on the headsets, maybe you don't notice the crowd, but do you feel like their crowd helped them win some of that momentum last year? And then how important will a crowd be in a game like this week?
Oh,
when it's
man,
90 degrees and hot and.
Well, I always tell our guys, if you're only a good player at home, you're not going to be a good player. If your play is determined by outside influences, you're going to be very inconsistent. And that's just a mindset that we have. Unbelievable environment, incredible atmosphere, and there's no question that their crowd creates great energy for them. But we try to use that energy in our favor. That's just kind of how we've always done. We've won a bunch of away games. So we try not to get caught up in that stuff and make excuses. But I know this is one of the most unique environments in all of college football. And when this place is rocking, it's a problem. I think it was an issue on that fumble on the first punt. The ball hung up there almost 5 seconds. And you got the whole team down there, telling him his hair looks nice and where to get his nails done and, all that stuff. Everybody's down there waiting on this ball to come down, and the valley's on you, and it's, next thing you know, the ball's on the ground. It takes a lot of focus when you're on the road to block it out. And this is one of those, like I said, just great environment. Our fan base is so passionate and loud. I've never sat in the stands here before, but everybody tells me not many people sit down. That's kind of what I always hear. People come and they're like, well, heck, I guess we're just going to have to stand up the whole game. Paid all that money for that seat, and I'm really just standing. So I just think it's a unique place, and there's no question our crowd energizes us at home for sure. Hopefully they can impact the opponent too, but, man, they energize us. Makes a big difference, at home when you have that positive energy.
Coach,
the missed tackles by the linebackers you brought up after the game, how much of that do you attribute to sort of just the nature of a first game?
Yeah, all of it. We had 2 scrimmages, and Jake didn't even get to scrimmage. That was his first live play since the spring game. And then Skowski, same thing, kind of first game to start. Just the intensity of the moment, the game's it's just different. And now all of a sudden you try to do a little too much, or you stop your feet, or you get your base a little too wide, and you miss a tackle. Head goes down. But I thought we got better as the game went. But early we just missed a few. We left some meat on the bone. We missed a few plays that were there. But we were positioned well. That's the main thing. You're gonna have some missed tackles every now and then. They got good players too. But you just want to minimize that, and you want to make the layups. We missed a couple layups. Sometimes you're going to have a missed tackle in space. Those are hard, especially when you're going against a good athlete. But some of those layups in the hole and things like that, we got to finish those. And we'll get better, again. But it's first game, and really did a nice job. A nice job, especially, with the turnovers that we had, and gave some poor field position for us to go out there and hold up. That's a game that I think we're going to get better quickly from, just simply because of all the different situations that came up in the game and some of the mistakes that we made. Because we got a team that really cares. These guys care. They're passionate about it. They like each other. It's important to them, and when you got that, you're gonna get better.
Coach, the tight end is always big in Coach Fisher's offense. They lost Sternberger from last year. Didn't seem to miss him last week, but you still think that position will figure pretty prominently in their offense?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, he's got that 85 and 86, I believe, two big kids, and you know, that's just what they do. I mean, they're going to be a lot of 11 personnel and a lot of 12 personnel, and they'll mix in a little bit of 21, but mostly they're 11 and 12, and they get in all them bunch sets and try to create extra gaps, and they run the ball and play action from it, and screen from it. So a lot of cross-country routes, play action, hard play action, double post, climb routes, you know, and here goes the ball down the field. So it's a challenge, you know. So our recognition, our alignments, our eyes, our communication, and being on the same page, making the adjustments to the formations and the movements, that's critical for us. And so it's going to be critical on our linebackers to set the tone, and then those guys on the back end to show their experience. But yeah, that's what Jimbo's done forever. You know, he's not going to come out there in four wides. You know, I mean, not that he can't have a play or two, but as far as, you know, their base, they're going to be mostly 11. But when they get in 12, they're about 50-50, you know, with their run pass, and that's where he likes to be if he can.
Dabo, DK's got his start last week at corner and really didn't get tested too much. This week he's going to get tested. What are you seeing out of the film from the first week? Is he improving in that area and as well? Where is he?
Yeah, not much from the first. I mean, he did his job, and he was where he was supposed to be. Did a nice job. But you know, we're playing a different animal quarterback this week. I mean, this is like playing Clemson. I mean, you got guys at receiver and a guy at quarterback that can sling it and make plays. So should be a lot like practice for him, you know, because when he practices against Clemson, he's going against great quarterbacks, he's going against great receivers. So he's well prepared. He's just got to take his technique and his practice to the game field. They're physical. I mean, so the physicality at corner is going to be big in this game because these guys are physical outside. They do a good job of blocking, so getting off of blocks and then just winning matchups, playing with great technique. Because it's not, I mean, you know, you're not going to sit there and just play cover two zone. You're going to have some man coverage, and you got to make plays. So this will be a whole different challenge for him this week than what he had last week. But he did a nice job.
With Jimbo, can you kind of walk us through like the first time you ever met him and what y'all's relationship has been like over the years?
First time I met Jimbo, I was coaching at Alabama. I was probably 26, and he was, I don't even know. Is he older than me? He might be a couple years older than me. He wasn't much older than me, and so he was probably somewhere in his 20s as well at Auburn, and we were both recruited Birmingham, and just used to. The first time I met him, used to see him on Friday nights and things like that, just roaming around recruiting. But I always got along with Jimbo. I always got along with him, and and then obviously he came to Florida State, and so then kind of same thing, was around him as an assistant again. I'm at Clemson. He's at Florida State, and then. I become the interim head coach and the head coach, and he's still kind of the coordinator. I think Coach Bowden had another year after I got the job, maybe a year or two. And so just kind of working relationship. And then as he became the head coach and I was the head coach, I would say got to know him on a whole nother level, just simply because we spend a lot of time together in meetings. We usually spend, 3 days a year in meetings together with the other coaches. So you just get to know guys a little bit differently. And so, really good football coach. We've had a lot of battles against him for sure, and he's done a great job already, and he'll do a great job there at A&M.
Is there a big degree of separation between that first and second group on the defensive line, or did they play fairly close to each other Thursday?
Yeah, I think our ends, I think we got 5 guys that strength in numbers, and I think all those guys will play, and I think it's a little closer group from where they are. I think at D tackle, there's some separation between Niles and Jordan and Tyler. So just to Darnell, and Xavier's kind of right there. I thought Xavier Kelly made a step forward for us. It was good. I think the biggest thing with Xavier, he just needs to play. He needs to play. He's a little bit of a rep guy. He needs to make some mistakes in game situations. But I was very encouraged. And the biggest thing with him is just gaining the confidence, because once that young man gets his confidence, he's got all the tools. There's no doubt about it. It's just getting the confidence and taking it to game day. So. But those three have kind of separated a little bit, and then Xavier, Darnell, and Rook, those three guys are coming, and so we don't have. I wouldn't say we got 6 guys that we like, but a little bit more freelance rotation at end right now with those 5 guys. I think they're a little further ahead as a group.
Going back to Wake Forest, what has made Mike Elko just such a good defensive coordinator in your mind?
Yeah, well, the structure, first of all. He really does a good job mixing things up. He attacks your protections. He'll get up and challenge you and play man coverage, but then he does a good job. They'll play a lot of catch technique, and they do a great job with their eyes, flat-footed reads, and will break on balls, get their hands, and as a result, they get their hands on a lot of balls, usually get a lot of interceptions. You can go all the way back to Wake Forest. He's always had guys that gets their hands on a lot of balls. They didn't finish a lot of them last year, and again, his first year, and already, had 4 picks last week, and some of them are exactly what I'm talking about. Guys that are all flat-footed reading, and receivers don't do a great job with their technique, their influence, their fundamentals, and break points. And next thing you know, it's an early key, and they're on it. And then again, he's got a couple of exotic type pressure stuff that he does on third down, especially, and just schematically, he's just really good, And you got to be sharp. He knows what he's doing. They're well coached, and but on the back end, I just think he manages their scheme well, especially when they're going against a good group of receivers.
Dabo, how much of an advantage is it to have a back like Travis who can go out and give his production in as little carries as he's getting to save himself towards the end of the season?
Yeah, it's huge. I think he played, 2.5 quarters maybe, and so, only 12 carries. But it's when you got great backs, that's an equalizer in the game of football. When you can run the ball effectively, they're not going to all be 12-yard gains or 90-yard gains, and that's not what I mean by effectively. But if you can be efficient in the run game and not have negative plays, and then it just puts a lot of pressure. It puts a lot of pressure on a defense throughout the course of the game, especially if you've got the ability to throw the ball. And that's when we've been at our best, is when we can do both. And you get in a game like the other night, and you never really know sometimes until you get in a game on what the team's identity is going to be or what their plan is going to be. And but when you have the ability to run and throw it, it just gives you a lot more opportunity to move the ball and win. Because again, at the end of the day, something has to be there. They can't. It comes down to what's in the box and what's on top. It's just simple math. So when you've got an elite back, that's an equalizer, because now it typically dictates how they got to play on defense. When you can't run the ball effectively, and there's a lot more they can do, and they can stop the run with fewer people than you have, and you're at a disadvantage. So when you got a great back that can run through tackles, can make a guy miss, it just creates a lot of strain on the defense. And so we're really fortunate to have a guy that not only can do those things, but he can also, as you saw the other night, he can take it to the house. And he can catch the ball. He's worked really hard to catch the ball, and I think that's a part of his game that you'll see continue to show up throughout the season. Linjay got most of the catches the other night, had a couple nice plays in the pass game, but it's a weapon for us, for sure, to be able to run the ball.
Coach, after losing a 4-year starting place kicker in Hugel, how important was that 51-yard field goal for BT, just building his confidence going into a big game like this?
Yeah, it was huge. I think he thought I was going to let him run out there and kick that short one to early on. We dropped the fourth down ball in the end zone there. You know, it was awesome. You know, and we've seen that in practice, and that's the best part for me, because I thought early, our first scrimmage in particular, I was real disappointed with him because he had such a great camp, awesome camp, and then all of a sudden we go to kind of our preseason game, and he didn't have a good day. And so to be able to see him, you know, take it to game day, because he's been awesome as a kickoff guy. I mean, what a weapon he is. I mean, it's just unbelievable. But to see him run out there and not even flinch, and there's no doubt, you know, right down the pipe, that's huge for us, because it gives everybody confidence, you know, because, again, I need to see it. I need to see it on game day. I need to be able to have confidence to run him out there and make those 50-yarders, a 55-yarder, because he can do it. He can do it. And there's certain situations in games where, you know, that might be the difference in the game. So I think confidence-wise, it's definitely something he can build on.
Denzel Johnson had a great camp. Obviously, we saw that roll over into this first game. Him and Kayvon Wallace right now on a rotation basis. How impressed were you by Denzel, and do you see him have an opportunity to cement himself in that role?
Yeah, I think all four of our safeties are starters, and that's y'all have heard me say that many times in camp. You know, I look at Denzel as a starter. I look at Kayvon as a starter. I look at Muse as a starter. I look at Nolan as a starter. Nolan Turner played. He was almost player of the game. He was one of the top guys nominated for that, and played great. So all four of those guys are interchangeable. They all bring great things. They all have good understanding, and they support each other. I mean, so it's just a huge blessing for us to have four guys at that position. This time last year, we were just all like this, please, will Denzel and Nolan come through for us? Can we just get something out of them? And boy, did they. And, you know, and you're talking about two guys that weren't offered Division I scholarships. You know, nobody offered Nolan a scholarship. Nobody offered a Division I scholarship to Denzel. And, you know, here's two guys that are playing at the highest level of college football, and they're just great examples of you know, evaluation and development. I mean, to the nth degree. So both those guys can run and just are so much more confident. And then Muse, you know, he's just a savvy vet. Same thing with Kayvon. You know, Kayvon is an outstanding talent. So, you know, all four of them are you know, graded well, and Kayvon gave up one play, but really played a good game. So all four of them are starters to us, and you'll see them in different packages. You know, we get into some of our sub packages. You know, that's one of the reasons we do some of that stuff, because we feel really good about the depth that we have on the back end.
Who provides you the best combination of pass coverage at safety?
I think they all can get the job done. I mean, it just, you know, I mean, based on what we're asking them to do. If you're looking for a guy that's going to just go line up, I mean, Denzel's played corner for us, so you know he could go and function as a corner. But I think they all have proven they can cover. You know, and then what type of team are you playing? I mean, they're all physical in the box, but Muse is he's a downhill dude that can come in there, and in fact, he'll probably end up playing Will at the next level. You know, he's probably going to be a guy that will slide into the box, but he can run. You saw that the other night. I mean, his speed is what makes him special. I mean, he can run, and so they all have their strengths, they all have their weaknesses, but they all have knowledge of what we're doing, and the positioning of how we use those guys is critical. But they can all get the job done at the highest level for us.
You've been kind of a trendsetter using a freshman quarterback a year ago. Last week, 9 freshman quarterbacks got wins. What is it about the guys who are coming in through the coffers now that makes them more prepared to be able to handle this level of football?
I mean, I don't know if I'm a trendsetter. I just have had a couple of really good players that came in here as freshmen and were ready. You know, it's. I still think it's more the exception than the norm, but I would say probably, you know, just from my own experience, you know, it's what these guys are exposed to in high school. I mean, Trevor and Deshaun have been starting since the 9th grade, and they had been really coached to the nth degree with a lot of what we do, and they came in here with just a really good foundation from a football standpoint, and had both, nationally been recruited and just all, exposed to a lot of things across the country. And so I just think from a, mental standpoint, they kind of understood, even though it's different in high school, they still have kind of been under pressure, if you will. Both played in Friday Night Lights type towns with high expectations and things like that, and had been in state championships. And so I think their mentality and their makeup was really good. But at the end of the day, just their football foundation early gave them a chance to really grasp and understand, what they needed to be able to do to go execute at a high level, against the different looks and things that you see at this level. So, and then they're just, also well trained these days. I mean, they're just in shape. They spend 7-on-7 time year round. I mean, it's a constant. It's just different. From when I was coming up. I mean, these guys are doing 7-on-7 leagues. They're just constantly in the gun. Reading things, and so I just think that's part of it. How the game has changed, because I really think a lot of the high school has trickled up. Because again, I think the high schools were some of the first ones to start changing the game from a spread standpoint, simply because high school coaches are competing with year-round baseball, year-round basketball, lacrosse, and I mean, I don't have anything against the option, but or even more. I played in the I formation, I right, I left, and when we got fancy, we went split backs. Oh my God, they went split back, but you still had an X and a Z. A flanker and a split in, and that's it. I didn't know what a 3 wide out set. I mean, what I'd have done to play in a world like today. So you better like it. You better like going out there and stalk blocking. You better like cracking. And if you get lucky, they're going to throw a out cut to you. Oh my God, they throw a hitch. They call it a hitch. You just didn't throw the ball a lot in those days. But you didn't have Fortnite. You didn't have, all these games and iTunes and, social media. And you just didn't have that. I mean, what the heck was I going to do if I went home? What was I going to do? I mean, sit there, look at the wall. You got 3 channels. You got Lawrence Welk and Hee Haw and Happy Days. That's what you got. Taj, I'll explain that to you later. But that's it. So you played ball. I mean, and there really was no. It's just what you did, and it was hard. It was hard, and football was different, and the game has changed. There's so much more competition out there, and so I think the high school coaches are the first ones to kind of change the game. Everything used to be, pro down, and I think it's changed now. And all these pro teams used to always say, "Oh, man, we can't do it. Give me a break." You got Tom Brady in the gun, running zone read screens, and all kind of RPOs and stuff like that. The game has trickled up, but it started in the high schools because coaches had to compete with all these other sports to get kids to not play year-round basketball, to not play year-round baseball. So they had to change the game because nobody wanted to come out there and just run the I formation every day or run the option, and so they made it fun. And a little bit kind of like basketball on grass with some of these 7-on-7 things that they do. And I think that has been a huge part of the evolution of this quarterback that we see. And you see the same thing at the next level. You see Deshaun, you see Mahomes, you just right in, as the schemes have changed, and they're able to be successful.
How hard of a departure is that from the conventional wisdom that, a more experienced guy would start over a freshman coming in, just because I know that a lot of that is merit-based through the levels, through the ranks like that?
Yeah, I still think that's typically the case. But the best player is going to play, at the end of the day. And I think in most cases, if you've got I mean, Trevor Lawrence is a sophomore, and we signed a freshman this year, but he didn't beat Trevor out. It doesn't mean that Tyson's not a good player. Tyson's a really good player. It's just Trevor's more experienced. He's just ahead. So I think still that's typically the case. It's hard to beat out a veteran guy. You've got to really be elite, and that's what's happened in our case here. So it's just again something I think you'll continue to see across the country, guys being well equipped to come in. And then you see other things. You see a lot of guys come in January. Deshaun came in January. Trevor came in January. So these aren't true freshmen. You know, these are redshirt freshmen with more experience, you know, because they've been through a spring and a spring game and scrimmages and a whole summer. They've had installation for the third time, not the first time. You know, used to you didn't never see that. You only got a quarterback. You got him in June or July, and it was first time to get installation. Now these guys are on their third round of installation. A lot of them, most of them are mid-years these days.
I don't know if you saw the comments from a Texas A&M player who predicted an upset over you guys yesterday. Do you actually look for bulletin, like is bulletin board material an actual thing in the locker room?
Oh yeah, I don't have to look for it. People just give it to me. You know, that's usually one of the players. Hey, did you see that? You know, I'm like, oh yeah, I saw that, heard that, and so yeah, I don't have to. I mean, used to. That was you had to do kind of stuff like that.
As a veteran of the Spurrier years, I feel like you should be.
Well, I mean, there's no secrets anymore. Like my point is back when I was playing, that's where bulletin board material came from. Was, you know, I mean, it had to come from some paper, you know, and you'd literally cut it out because back in the day you had bulletin boards. So how did you communicate with the players? Now you know what I do? I just go to Teamworks, and I hit all 120 guys. Hey, have your butts on time. We're starting, you know, whatever I want to say to them. Boom, in seconds, they got it. Taj, you'd have loved that. I would have loved that with you, man. Teamworks you to death. But now we got all this technology, but back in the day, you'd walk in and there's a bulletin board. It'd be like that, and you'd go, holy cow, are you serious? And they'd have it highlighted, you know, on the bulletin board. Well, those days are gone, because as soon as something happens, well, everybody knows, like instantly. Your phone, it's a notification on your phone. You know, it's like instant. So it's just a different world. So I don't really have to say anything. And that stuff that, you know, I mean, that don't last long anyway. You better get yourself ready to play. It's about execution and playing well. And but it's fun. That's kind of makes the game fun. That's this passion of college football. But whether it's something that comes from a fan or a player from another team or whatever, those things, it's virtual bulletin boards now. It's virtual. But back in the day, that's what you had to do. You know, you'd go and you'd post on the bulletin board what time the team meeting was that day, every day over at the academic center, and everybody have to go check the wall. You're not doing that stuff anymore. They just look at their watch. You know, oh, such and such just said something. Oh, they just literally look at their watch. I can't. I'm still wearing a Timex. So.
On another lighter note, have you ever seen a team bring out an entire weight set to an opposing sideline to warm up for a game?
No, I've never seen that. Hey, don't knock it till you try it, I guess. I don't know, but I'd never seen that. That was a new thing. But there's a lot of things that are great today that I hadn't seen in my time that are now great. So maybe that's a new trend. I don't know.
Dabo, I know this is way off the campus, but reports came out, I don't know if you saw him yesterday, that Jake Bentley might be out for maybe half the season with a foot injury. Just because you play those guys 3 times a year, you've got to know Jake, I'm sure, just a little tiny bit. Any reaction to that?
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I did hear about it yesterday, and you know, I hate that for him. I hope it's not as serious as they say. I guess the report was he's out for half the year or something. Hopefully it's not. You know, the kid's worked really hard. He's a great young man, and you know, he's a product of this state, and you know, I know is committed to his team, and I know has put the work in to be the best that he can be. And so, you know, you hate to see anybody lose their opportunity, you know, especially their senior year. It's tough. It's a part of the game. We all know that. But you know, just heart goes out to him, and hopefully he can, you know, recover and again not be as serious as they say.